In nature, creatures adapt for survival, often using appearance as camouflage or display. When Meghan Markle joined the royal family, the media's focus was not on her work, but on her wardrobe. Every dress, coat and accessory dissected as if it were a matter of state. A dark nail polish was a transgression, a trouser suit a rebellion, a hemline a declaration of war. The scrutiny was relentless, less about fashion and more about signalling that this newcomer didn't quite fit the established order. The fascination was deeply critical, often laced with disappointment or outrage. Ordinary choices, colour of a dress, cut of a coat, became scandals. It was as if the energy for real issues was funneled into analysing a sleeve or neckline. Was it really about clothes, or were they a canvas for projecting anxieties and prejudices? In the end, Meghan's attire became a symbol of her outsider status, magnified far beyond its true significance. Meghan's engagement portrait with Prince Harry in a Ralph and Russo gown was meant to capture joy. Instead, the sheer bodice became a lightning rod for criticism, called inappropriate, extravagant, even rebellious. The media spun a narrative of impropriety, ignoring that engagement portraits are personal, not state events. History was conveniently forgotten. Princess Diana's own engagement photo featured a similarly delicate blouse. The dress broke no written rule, but it didn't fit rigid, unwritten expectations. This episode set a pattern. Meghan's fashion choices were framed as problems, regardless of context. The elegance of the moment was lost in a storm of feigned outrage. A simple garment became a symbol of defiance before she'd even walked down the aisle. The scrutiny wasn't about the dress, it was about controlling the narrative. Thus began the cycle: choice, criticism, and controversy. At Wimbledon, Meghan wore a classic Ralph Lauren shirt and white trousers, smart, appropriate, and comfortable. Yet the focus shifted to a white Panama hat she carried but didn't wear in the royal box, following etiquette so as not to block anyone's view. The media twisted this into another breach, ignoring the simple courtesy behind her choice. Criticism also targeted her American designer, as if every outfit must be a patriotic statement. Royals have long worn international brands, but Meghan's choices were uniquely scrutinized. The expectation that every outfit be a diplomatic gesture is unrealistic. The real story: a woman followed the rules, but the narrative demanded she was breaking them. Her enjoyment of the event was overshadowed by a hat she never wore. The desire to find fault was clear. Even the most mundane acts became fodder for controversy. At the British Fashion Awards, Meghan presented an award to her wedding dress designer wearing a striking Givenchy gown. The event celebrated creativity, yet headlines fixated on her dark nail polish, a supposed breach of royal protocol. The one-shouldered dress was called Too Hollywood, and her choice of a French label was criticised, despite honouring a British designer. The context, a glamorous fashion event, was ignored in favour of nitpicking. Every detail was mined for hidden meaning, every gesture twisted into defiance. The standards she faced were impossible, the goalposts always moving. Her support for British talent was lost in the noise about her manicure. The scrutiny was absurd, revealing more about the critics than the subject. No choice would ever be quite right. The narrative was set: Meghan could not win. Much is made of a supposed royal rulebook, dictating every detail of dress and decorum. In reality, there is no such book, just traditions, customs, and evolving preferences. The idea of strict protocol is largely a media invention, used to judge outfits as right or wrong. Meghan's trousers, bare legs, or designer choices were called breaches, though royals before her did the same. The rules are flexible, often fictional, and selectively enforced. Dressing appropriately is about context, not commandments. The manufactured rulebook became a tool for criticism, creating a no-win situation. Modernity was called disrespect, high fashion, extravagance. The narrative of constant missteps was built on shifting sands. Meghan, like others before her, was simply navigating a complex public role. The real challenge balancing tradition and change in the spotlight. Meghan's wardrobe costs were a frequent headline, with assumptions that taxpayers footed the bill. In truth, she paid for her own clothes before marriage, and after, her working wardrobe was funded privately by Prince Charles, not public money. The sovereign grant covers official expenses, not personal clothing. The narrative of extravagance ignored these facts, painting her as disconnected. This misunderstanding is common, but the financial arrangements were standard for royals. The focus on cost overshadowed the economic boost her choices gave to brands, the Meghan effect. When she wore a label, it often sold out, benefiting businesses. The conversation rarely acknowledged this positive impact. Her wardrobe was framed as a burden, not an asset. The real story was lost in the rush to criticize. Meghan's international fashion choices were framed as a snub to British designers, yet royals have always embraced global fashion. Queen Victoria wore French silks, Princess Diana loved Versace. The expectation for Meghan to be a walking British billboard was unrealistic and unfair. Her wardrobe reflected her international background, American, Canadian, British. Demanding she erase her history for a British aesthetic was disingenuous. Her wedding dress, by a British designer, was a powerful statement. In today's world, brands and manufacturing are global, the lines are blurred. Meghan's style was modern, inclusive, and reflective of her story. The criticism was less about fashion and more about enforcing conformity. A global wardrobe is a global outlook, something to be celebrated, not condemned. Over 22 months, minor choices became major scandals. Nail polish, hats, trousers spun into tales of rebellion. The media magnified every detail, creating a distorted reality. The cumulative effect painted Meghan as difficult and disrespectful, regardless of the truth. Why this appetite for outrage? Perhaps it reflected discomfort with change. Meghan was American, biracial, divorced, and modern. Criticizing her style became a proxy for deeper anxieties. The scrutiny was relentless, the pressure immense. Every outfit was judged as a reflection of her character. The real story was about the culture of scrutiny, not the clothes. It was a sad chapter, revealing more about society than about Meghan herself. In the end, what do we remember about people, their clothes or their actions? Meghan used her platform for causes like female empowerment and mental health, yet headlines focused on her wardrobe. The real work, community projects, advocacy, connection, was overshadowed by trivialities. We risk missing substance for spectacle, the person for the clothes. Meghan's fashion scandals are a cautionary tale about misplaced priorities. We must look beyond the surface, question the narratives, and value character over appearance. Kindness, integrity, and impact matter more than labels or hemlines. It's time to shift our focus from wardrobe to work. That's where the real story lies.